You so much, Coach Davis, for that beautiful introduction. I'm so glad to have you on my team, even though it's been 8 years, like you said, since I graduated in 2015. Like Coach Dave mentioned, my name is Kamerie Gibson. I'm actually a third generation Dorsey graduate. My grandmother in 73, my father in 93, and then me in 2015. So I'm super honored to be here to speak to you all, the new generation after me. This is my second year doing the Pave Your Own Lane presentation at Dorsey High School, and I'm so excited to be back here with you all. Um, Shortly after graduating from Dorsey High School, I attended San Jose State University and then transferred to an HBCU college, Texas Southern University. After that, I had the opportunity to work with companies like Beats by Dre before I founded my own company, Born Guilty Productions, which is a company that I choose to produce content for Black and brown folks like myself from. A question I wanted to pose to us all here to consider is, if Nipsey Hussle was still alive today, what would he do? What would his game plan look like for us all? So I wanted to share my screen so y'all could see this presentation I put together for y'all. I really want to talk more about Nipsey Hussle and just his impact on the community, being from the same community, South Central Los Angeles, and how much we just need to push the needle forward with what he had left us with a few years ago. So like I said, what would Nipsey do? What would he say? Would he tell us to fold up and buckle in with the recession coming? Would he tell us to give up with everything that's going on with Black people being murdered, with no justice, with poverty still continuing? I know a lot of Black and brown folks are being pushed out of their communities right here in South Central LA because of gentrification. So yes. So just a little bit about Nipsey Hussle. For those who don't know him, his real name was Ermias Ashkadom. He was born on August 15th in 1985. He grew up in the Crenshaw-Slauson area. And aside from him being a rapper, a gangster rapper, he was a prolific thought leader. He was an entrepreneur, an official businessman, and he left us with this marathon continues mentality. Life is not a race. And how we as a people really need to look into investing into assets over liabilities and taking ownership of the things we create, and not just being an artist or just being an employee, but actually creating our own legacies through our own businesses and continuing on that Marcus Garvey do for self mentality. We can do it for ourselves. We've done it before. Slavery disrupted history, but it was not only our history. I want us, after this presentation as well, to look more into civilizations that existed before slavery snatched us up from our motherland. Another thing Nipsey Hussle championed extensively was to have a proud African mindset. Not only was he directly tied to his African ancestry in Eritrea, but he also was a native African American to LA. Also, something that Nipsey talked about so much that I love is that you can self-educate yourself. College is not the route for everybody. That's okay. College is expensive. You can read books. You can create your own curriculum and still become that millionaire, that business person that some of us here want to be. But we don't have that much time. So this is a little video I have, but I'm going to skip past it because I want us to play a short clip from this documentary I actually produced. It's called No Church in the Wild. And No Church in the Wild, for me as a producer, it was an examination into the mistreatment of African Americans in the US since we've gotten here. When it came to police brutality, mass incarceration, gentrification, and healthcare. I'm just gonna share this short clip with y'all. This episode talks about, though, how Black and brown people are portrayed in the media and just how detrimental that is to our safety and well-being here. All right, I need to make sure y'all can hear the audio too. 1 second. Can y'all hear the audio? Can everybody hear the audio? Can people put it in the chat if they can hear?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Racial bias in the media is what perpetuates the negative Black rhetoric, and it's what contributes to the negative impact on our community's collective psyche.
The story is that Black people won't. People are violent, so the police can treat them any kind of way. The story is that they're big and they're strong. These stories are killing us.
For one, the media, and it manipulates people's inability to think critically about the supposed facts being presented before them.
But the fact is, I find it very disappointing that you're not discussing the fact that 93% of Blacks in America are killed by other Blacks. We're talking about the exception here.
We tend to accept some things as, you know, facts that are not, like Black on Black crime. The idea that crime is related to race as opposed to proximity and opportunity is something that we have to start talking about. There is no such thing as Black on Black crime. Crime is crime.
Funny how the media covers white riots versus Black protests. News. Seems like when the protesters are Black, the media uses some pretty harsh words.
The bad guys, lawlessness, looting, wild animals, and thugs.
Thugs. Isn't it the right word?
However, if you're white and you're tearing up the city because of a game, you're just young people.
Young people danced on a flipped over car as UK fans did stupid things.
Maybe got a little out of control.
Seeing a scene like this just shows how passionate the UK fans are.
It's so tough to lose, and unfortunately the ugly side that we sometimes see in sports.
And notice how the police always show up to a Black protest in military-grade equipment, and yet the media claims they're just doing nothing.
It's inexplicable why the police are doing nothing.
Let's mobilize the National Guard.
If I'm a rioter and I see the police doing nothing, I might feel like I have a license.
You would.
But at white riots, the cops actually are standing around doing nothing.
Another group of cops over there just standing there.
No one was really doing anything.
These guys look like they could be watching a parade. And why is it that the leadership of the Black community is always called into question?
Where is the leadership?
Leadership.
The Black leadership.
The absence of leadership. And it goes back to leadership, but that leadership has to come from the community.
But no one ever questions the leadership of white parents who let their kids burn down and vandalize their college campus.
These are just young college students who think they're playing some kind of a game with police officers.
You know, sometimes they don't even call a white riot a riot.
Party gone awry.
Some fans got a bit too rowdy after the win.
Bloody brawl.
There was some type of altercation.
Waco, 170 arrested, 9 people dead.
They're not thugs.
Baltimore, no deaths, but it's a riot, chock full of...
There was a point a couple years back after the recession where crime, and in particular Black crime, was being reported misproportionately. And that's because crime, and in particular Black crime, was down 37%. The crazy thing about it was crime reporting on Black crimes was up 900%. Now, why is that?
I could be at work, at school, in my car. I can still get shot by the police when I can get shot anywhere.
This woman obviously so upset, and she, you know, her fear is genuine. She says that she believes that wherever she is, she could get shot. So it's no more dangerous for her to be in the middle of that crowd. You know, how do you respond to that?
Well, her fear isn't real. It's based on emotion, and it's not based on anything factual that she'd be able to articulate. It's just out of control behavior. I'll tell you what she faces danger, and where she faces danger is being on the street in any American ghetto where the Black on Black crime is a bigger threat and a bigger problem in the Black community than the police use of force.
We have to kind of break away from this notion that Black on Black crime exists. Crime exists in the Black community because of poverty, right? Our crimes are poverty driven. We commit crimes because we don't have. Everybody just wants to be American and live a regular, basic American life. You want your house, your white picket fence, you want to be able to go on vacation, you want to be able to eat vegan if that's your thing, or, you know, or barbecue some pork chops, you know, if that's your thing. You just want to live a basic American life. I think that we have been taught in some ways that we don't either deserve that or are not owed that, or that's not something that we should aspire to.
Yesterday, White House senior advisor Jared Kushner was talking up how much this administration has done for the Black community and claimed that you can't blame his father-in-law for not putting in the effort. Take a look.
One thing we've seen in a lot of the Black community, which is mostly Democrat, is that President Trump's policies are the policies that can help people break out of the problems that they're complaining about, but he can't want them to be successful more than be successful. And what you're seeing throughout the country now is a groundswell of support in the Black community, because they're realizing that all the different bad things that the media and the Democrats have said about President Trump are not true.
It is generally fairly rare for a mainstream media outlet to entirely fabricate a story, for them to claim that something happened which simply never did. Yet, this doesn't mean that they present us with unfiltered, objective truth either. I want to draw here on Stuart Hall's 1997 lecture, Representation and the Media, to suggest that we can draw a useful distinction between events and meaning. By an event, I mean a thing that is being reported on. In most instances, we can assume that the event on which a news report focuses did take place. Again, in our contemporary context in the so-called West, complete fabrications are, if not non-existent, relatively rare. Now, the news clearly does more than simply point to an event and say, this happened. A great deal of emphasis in news reporting is put on not only highlighting the fact that an event has taken place, but also in telling us what it means.
The media is responsible also for how other countries around the world view African Americans, which isn't in a very positive light.
You know, I have friends from all across the globe. Two of my closest friends, one is from Barbados, the other one is from Nigeria. And, you know, you talk to them about the images that they've seen of Black Americans growing up, and it was all negative, to the where when they came to America, they didn't really want to move around, you know, Black Americans, go to school with them, because they thought we were dangerous.
Birth of the Nation, right? It introduced the concept of buck. It introduced the concept that people, Black men in general, are unruly, and if Black people have power, this is what they're going to do to not only your community, but to your women, right? I think the buck character in the movie like kills a white woman, but that's the birth of the Jezebel, of the buck, of the mammy, and every other problematic stereotype in the media.
One major category of anti-Black stereotypes portrays Black people as contented, faithful servants.
My head's splitting. Well, lean back and let Lily rub the back of your neck.
Slavery's defenders used these depictions to argue that the institution couldn't be amoral because Black people enjoyed serving white families.
I don't know why we leaving Master's house. He been good to us.
Hardworking and loyal, the mammy figure was painted as deeply devoted to her white family.
How am I going to take care of you and Miss Jessie if I ain't here? As your cook, and I want to stay your cook.
In The Birth of a Nation, D.W. Griffith's 1915 white supremacist film, which is largely credited for the 20th century resurgence of the KKK, the mammy character, played by a white actor in blackface, defends her master's home from Union soldiers, suggesting that she's so committed to serving that she would risk her life rather than seek freedom. Proponents of slavery used the mammy to suggest that, far from being abused, Black women were beloved and willing surrogate mothers to the families they served.
Master Carey's coming. Praise the Lord.
But historians have found little evidence to substantiate the idea that enslaved Black women were even commonly working in the home, as the mammy trope suggests.
You know, or if you look in a lot of these Black actors in modern times that are getting awards, they're always in really demeaning. So one of my favorite actors is Denzel Washington, right? I would argue his best performance is Malcolm X. I can't tell, I think Denzel, to this day, I think Denzel is Malcolm X. He did that good of a job, right? Didn't receive any awards. But he got an award for Training Day. He's a crooked cop in the jungle, right? Got an Academy Award for that. Great movie. I love the movie. But it made a Black, he got an award for being a crooked Black man. Crooked cop at that. Halle Berry, one of my favorite actresses, she got an award. and she had to do some demeaning things to get that award with a white man, an older white man. And it's like, I'm connecting it back to slavery. I'm connecting it back to the birth of the nation, right? And like this white savior coming in to swoop this and save this black woman up, right?
You think about most of the images you see of Black people post, I would say like post like 1993 are typically negative images. You know, when they show Black males, we're usually involved in some kind of criminal activity, you know, or we're abusing Black women. You see that a lot on television. I mean, with Black women, it typically shows them as either, you know, single mothers, or it shows them, you know, it's just sexual beings, or it shows them as like ball busters, you know? And so, but it doesn't show them as mothers, as wives, you know, as nurturing, as caring, you know, same thing with Black males. It doesn't show us often as fathers and husbands, community leaders, you know, it's typical destructive behaviors.
If I'm turning on music videos and every rapper is talking about guns, drugs, and whores, after a while, after a few years, you internalize those values and you think of yourself in that way. And then others that are not of our community think of us that way.
Michaela is a 7th grader at a majority white middle school. Her response completely changed depending on the race of the children in the picture.
Marcy and Renee are in school together and they're in the hallway, and I'd like you to tell me what you think is happening in this picture.
She probably looks like she's gonna steal it because Marcy's like, oh no, what happened? And he's like, hey, look, $20.
And so do you think that Renee is doing something good, bad, or just neutral?
I think she's gonna take the money.
Do you think that Renee and Marcy are likely to be friends or not?
Not really.
And what do you think about Marcy's parents? Do you think they'd be comfortable with her being friends with Renee or not?
Well, if they find out the situation that happened, they might be a little concerned about if Renee's a thief.
In this one, we have Erica and Allison, and they're also in school. Can you tell me what it seems is happening in this picture?
Allison looks like a sweet girl. So I think that she would pick up Erica's money and give it back to her.
Okay. So then, do you think Allison's doing something good?
Pretty good.
And what about Allison and Erica? Do you think they're probably friends or not so much?
Yeah, they're probably friends.
Okay. Do you think Erica's parents would like it if she was friends with Allison?
Yeah.
Her responses, according to our expert, Dr. Melanie Killen, could indicate a subconscious racial bias, a bias that kids develop from messages they hear at school, at home, the characters in the TV shows they watch, and what they see online.
The media is a powerful tool. If you go to any elementary school right now and ask Black boys what they want to be, they're going to say NBA player, NFL player, or rapper. It's because they don't see lawyers on TV. They don't see astronauts on TV. They don't see Black business people on TV. You know, my uncle told me, man, you have a better shot at being the president of the United States than to be in the NBA. It's like, these are just mathematical, this is data, these are facts, right? But we put all our energy and everything we have into being a rapper, into being an NBA player. It's for 99.8% of us, it's not gonna happen. But that's what they want you to think. They want you to think that's all you can do. That's the only way you can be successful.
Outlets like World Star Hip Hop, the Jasmine brand, these are not Black American owned media outlets. However, they specialize in portraying Black Americans in the worst light possible. You've got to ask yourself, what is that about? Well, that's about white supremacy and white racism towards Black Americans being valuable. It pays. It pays to hate Black folks.
Since the first colonizers arrived in the United States to this very moment, wealthy elites have used the tools of theft, exclusion, and exploitation to expand their wealth and power to the detriment of Black, Latinx, indigenous people, and marginalized people of color. It all boils down to this simple truth. Racism is profitable.
The profitability of racism sparks a vicious cycle called the oppression economy.
Elite institutions are motivated to suppress the economic vitality of people of color. That economic oppression in turn hinders our political power, and that political oppression kneecaps our ability to change the system. This cycle plays out in every aspect of the economy and is particularly apparent in mass incarceration. The criminalization of people of color is a multi-billion-dollar industry. In 2017 alone, mass incarceration costs $182 billion, trapping mostly low-income Black and Latinx people in a cycle of economic and political disenfranchisement.
We have to get more people who look like us in those positions. We've got to get more people behind the cameras and in the executive rooms to ensure that our stories are being told. I mean, this is no different than what the history books say, and how, Black American history starts with slavery. It's a brainwash. And so many young people, Black kids, come up thinking that our history starts with slavery, not knowing that we are kings and queens of our own in our country, in our continent, around the world.
I know that I'm telling my story from jump. I've been like, this is a very specific story. It's a story about me and my friend. And I think, if anything, it was about like dispelling the notion that it was going to represent more people. Naturally, there are elements, being a Black woman, that resonate with lots of Black women. And I don't take those for granted, but I don't seek to do those things. We have a lot of conversations in the room just about what we experience as Black women, very specific stories. Obviously, we're all different. We don't all agree. We don't all think the same. We don't all like the same things, even agree on story points. But it's like having those voices in the room, we try to represent through our various characters. And I think that's the most fun part of it.
Storytelling is a lost art, and we have to do so in our homes and in our community. I'm an advocate of historically Black colleges and universities. And it was there that I was able to really find my voice with being a Black woman.
On the next episode of No Church in the Wild, we will examine white fear and how it impacts the everyday lives of African Americans.
All right. Okay, everybody, I hope y'all like that short, I think it was 18-minute clip from my documentary series. Like I said, No Church in the Wild. That was episode 3, Racial Bias in the Media. It's been out since 2021. There are 8 parts to it, so be sure to check that out if you liked how it sounded from that clip alone. I'm gonna move on. Thank you, I see the chat. To the Dorsey alumni panel, y'all. We have people that graduated from your school right here, ready to talk to y'all. So I'm gonna pull up my screen again just so I can move on to the next slide. Okay, Dorsey alumni. So I guess I can go with myself. Like I said, my name is Kamerie Gibson. I graduated from Dorsey in 2015, along with all of the other ladies here on the Generation Z thought leader. So that means Generation Z, I think we was born in 2004 or something. But I produce documentaries. I like to speak in public to people. I'm an educator. And I want to move it on to my alumni panel. Ashley Williams, if you want to come on camera and speak a little bit. We're in the same room, y'all. We're here on campus, so yeah, if it looks a little funky, we're trying to stay together.
Hi guys, I'm Ashley. Like Kamerie said, I graduated Dorsey in 2015, which is crazy. I went to UCLA after I finished in 2019, and then I became a writer, so I do copywriting, content writing. I published a book in 2021. It's titled 7, and it's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can find it pretty much everywhere. And then after I decided I wanted to start a management company with talent behind the scenes, because I always knew I wanted to be in the entertainment industry, but never in front of the camera. So that's it.
Okay, Deandra, if you want to go next, introduce yourself to the audience for us, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Deandra Dillon. I graduated Dorsey in 2015. It's been a while. I went to Smith College in Northampton, Massachusetts. It's an all-women's college. And after finishing up at Smith with my bachelor's, I went to Switzerland, Geneva, Switzerland, to study international relations. And now I moved back to Los Angeles in September of 2022, so not too long ago.
Perfect. Moving on to Alton. 1 second.
Hey everybody. My name is Alton Petrie, class of 2009, Dorsey High. I'm kind of mad y'all got a magnet building right now. I was in a magnet and we didn't have no magnet building. But yeah, so I'm a journalist, photographer, filmmaker as well. By way of juvenile justice, I'm the founder of Jungle Photography TV, where we embody urban culture and commercial content, and we do it by way of film and photography and news. And next.
Rashida, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself. I guess I could take the pictures off. I kind of like y'all pretty pictures, but they can see your faces.
Hello, everyone. I'm good to go. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Rashida Jones. Born and raised in Los Angeles, went to Dorsey, graduated class of 2008. And we did have I was a part of the Law Magnet program. So shout out to the people who got me through my Law Magnet program. I went on to be an EOP student at Cal State Los Angeles. And then I also attended a historical Black college, which is the illustrious Clark Atlanta University. And today I serve as a psychiatric social worker within LAUSD with our BSAT program. So again, proud member of our BSAT program, and also a self-published author of a book titled Justice. I do a lot of community work around empowering our people of color, especially Black folks, with just embodying who we are, uplifting our culture, ownership, mental health, prioritizing mental health in our community. And so really just using my platform to lift as we climb. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. I love Rashida. Okay, and moving on to Roman Combs.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Roman. I graduated Dorsey High School in 2016. I'm an entrepreneur today. I've been an entrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur when I was in high school. So today, I'm the co-founder of Haven Made Global, which is a manufacturing company in Africa. And we make luxury bags, backpacks, duffel bags, purses, all different kind of like, just really dope products. And I'm also the CEO of Roman International Project. And so we're a consulting company, consult with a lot of businesses out here in the US, specifically in Leimert Park. And then I'm also in technology. So I do a lot in the metaverse space. I create 3D, I do digital design, UX design, really into technology. So I just kind of incorporate everything else, everything together. And I'm really into fashion. So, I'm a designer. I design my bags from just, my own creativity. And so I'm here to just, be an inspiration. I came from Dorsey. I grew up, in these streets. So I'm hoping that, you guys could be inspired to, just chase your dreams. That's it.
Amen. Chase your dreams, be authentic to your dreams. If you're going to work hard for somebody else's, you might as well work on yours in the meantime. We only here but for so long, I like to say. But thank you all so much for introducing yourselves. I want to break out into our Q&A with the Dorsey Alumni panel. But yeah, let me go ahead and go back to my, actually, you know what, y'all? I could leave it like this. Do gallery view. Okay. Everybody ready to be honest and truthful about your stories? Okay.
Let's do it.
All right then. Okay, so first question I have for my people is, what made Nipsey Hussle's message so relevant to the culture? Prior to introductions, I did speak a little bit about Nipsey and his influence on the community. So what makes his message, him being a native, so integral for the culture? Anybody want to go on that one?
All right, so I'll speak. So I grew up a bit in View Park area, and Nipsey Hussle's shop is off of Crenshaw and Slauson. So speaking from my point of view, the fact that Nipsey Hussle was in the gang culture and in the, what we try to avoid. And then he started to preach the message of not just positivity, you know what I'm saying, but more so like being real about the reality. He wasn't like, oh, I'm a positive person. He was like, this is what it is. And he spoke from a point of view of just like knowledge, you know what I'm saying? He really spoke on knowledge of self. And then having the principle of the marathon concept, just like don't give up, you know what I'm saying? Like stride is the game is a strive, if you just sprint, you're gonna burn out. So the fact that he spoke like that type of wisdom, it came from a different, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, this guy is, you know what I'm saying, in the struggle and doing what we all trying to avoid, but here he is now making moves, starting a business, really influencing the culture to be better. And I think that's what made him so powerful, was the fact that he was from here and he was in the dirt. And then just to see him kind of like rise up and make not just a difference in our community, but like he really went global. When I was in Africa, you see people out there wearing marathon shirts, Crenshaw shirts, like his message went global. So like he just, you know what I'm saying, I don't know, like he's just a powerful person. So that's my take on it.
All right, I have a quick story. I actually haven't told this much, but so I grew up in a gang culture. Excuse me. So I grew up in a gang culture. Grew up here in Baldwin Village, and so it's ironic because I was a student here at Dorsey when Nipsey Bullets Ain't Got No Name mixtape was out, and there was a teacher, he worked with the special ed students at the time, and he was passing it out to us. And my mindset at that time was, why are you giving this to me, to us? Who are you to be giving this to this? Where are you from? But I ended up getting incarcerated for a crime I didn't commit my senior year. 1 year after I had, actually the same year I got cut from the varsity basketball team. And it wasn't until I was incarcerated, I was a youth, and they were trying to try me as an adult due to the severity of the crimes, alleged crimes. But it wasn't until I was locked up that the staff, he would always play Nipsey Hussle. And in there, I really had a chance to listen to it. I had already graduated, so when all the kids would go to class, I would just be in the dorm. And I remember he would always play Nipsey, and there was one song called Payback, where he just talk about George Bush and 9/11 and Black Panthers and uniting Black gangs. And I was just like, that was the first time I really heard a song outside of, coming straight off of Slauson. And I was just like, wow, like how could I hate this dude? Like, how could I hate this dude just because he's from this side of town, when the things he's rapping about is not what like we're accustomed to hearing, and if at least not in mainstream. And so just that right there, when I came home, I just became a big fan of Nipsey. And then to see that he not only come from where I come from, in South Central LA, but he was preaching positivity and, focusing on financial literacy and just, just the whole concept of the marathon, we got to take the long route sometime.
Rashida, did you have a story? I thought you had a story.
That's Nipsey. Nipsey Rashida,
Nipsey.
favorite person in the world, girl.
Because I didn't want to take up too much space. I know we're on a time, and I could probably write a whole dissertation on Nipsey Hussle. But one thing I do want to highlight, just to piggyback off of what everyone has said, is that Nipsey was authentic and a perfect example of representation for people who are from South Central Los Angeles. So sometimes people communicate messages and want us to go to college and want us to be a certain way and act a certain way, but he led in a way where we didn't need that. Like, he was very relatable. And so being able to see him resemble someone of what my brother looked like, someone of what the culture in which I come from, I was able to hear him differently. And I think that's what we need sometimes. We need to be able to see ourselves in people, but with a positive message. And so I had my dad telling me about who Marcus Garvey was and Malcolm X, but I didn't hear it differently because it was my dad telling me, which I should have heard him. But when I have Nipsey rapping on a song telling me the importance of running your marathon and going to school and finding purpose and reading books and looking at people outside of like Martin Luther King and like the basics that we hear about every day, like he made it really cool for me to go pick up a book and read and deepen my knowledge outside of just, you know, the basic stuff that we learn about in school. And so again, I honor him in so many ways because I found purpose in a lot of the things that I was doing because I was able to relate. And so I'll pause right there. But again, like he's a major contribution to the culture now, and he will always be.
Absolutely, Rashida. Thank you so much for sharing that story. I know you had something for us. But yes, so something I noticed with all of the alumni here with us is that we all have our own company, our own business of some sort, right? And whatever else, what other things we might be doing. So I have another question for y'all. How important is ownership to the culture in this current day and age? How important is ownership?
For me, I think ownership is one of the most important things for the culture, because if you don't own, ownership brings power. Property ownership brings power. And if you're not owning anything, you're gonna see life passing you by, or decisions are being made around you and you can't do anything about it. I see Ms. Connolly on the chat, and when I was in her class, I think it was pre-calculus, she gave us the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that was one of the first books. I would recommend all the students on here to read it, that started talking about the importance of ownership and trying to create a seat at the table. So with like Kamerie's coming out with her videos and showing how the importance of representation and seeing yourself in the people around you and finding mentors that can help you know that it's possible, because the images and representation that's on the media often portrays us as ignorant, as impoverished people who are incapable or just violent. But once we start having ownership of the images that we're seeing, we start having ownership of land and so on, we start to create our own future and so on. So I think that is the goal that we should be aiming towards. Yeah, for me, sorry guys, we're all in the same class, so it's a lot of difficulties. But for me, ownership was always everything to me. I always remember wanting to be my own boss and saying like, I have an impact in this world. I'm in the entertainment industry, so just feeling like I have an impact in what people see, like what people hear, what people feel, like that means something to me, because I'm able to wake up in the morning and every day like I'm doing what I love, just because I own the power of like creating my own company, working with artists. I get to work with producers, engineers, publicists in the UK and South Africa, like the people I've gotten to meet and connect with just from like taking a chance on myself and owning my own company is priceless. Like I've met and connected with so many people around the world. So I always wanted to have like an impact. I wanted to leave a legacy behind me. So for me, ownership was always very, very important for me and the culture, for sure.
Yeah, ownership is very important, especially for us as Black Americans, because like if you don't own anything, then like you have no control, you have no authority, you can't leave your kids anything. And so just for instance, in terms of gentrification, it's like I heard someone say, well, basically blaming Black people for gentrification, saying because we have to give up something for, meaning you sell your homes, which that's ownership. But on the contrary to that, it's like, how can we really claim these neighborhoods if we don't truly own these homes, such as gangbanging? This my block, this my hood. We don't own not one building. If the police come, they can get us off of trespassing, even though we live down the street. But it's ownership, passing it hereditary. My grandmother passed away at the beautiful age of 91, and I'm a proud inheritance of her Section 8 voucher. Like, and that's not even official yet. I'm still fighting for that, and I have no shame in my game. I'm a college grad, but that's where I'm at in my life right now. And just back to the documentary, it's like a lot of our crimes are based on poverty, us needing, us wanting. And so ownership is important, especially in terms of business, because, and granted, I know everyone talk about being a boss and boss set. Everyone's not made to be a boss. It's okay to not be a boss, but it's also a lot of hard work and just grit that goes behind the glory. Sometimes there's no glory. You don't see glory for a long time. But to wrap it up, ownership is just important. So I have my own brand where I'm able to, report on stories without opinion. However, at the same time, it maintains the narrative from a Black perspective. And I cover a lot of controversial topics, and so many people be telling me what to post, what I should. I'm like, well, I own this, I can do what I want, but we'll end it with that. Ownership is important,
Absolutely. Did anybody else want to speak on ownership?
Yeah, Alton, that was powerful, bro. I really appreciate you being transparent, open. That's real powerful.
Appreciate you.
So it's a couple of things that you spoke on that rung a bell to me that come with ownership that I think we all like really need to understand. The first one is responsibility. It's not easy running your own business. Like it really isn't. It's actually more difficult to have your own business than it is to work a 9-to-5. Because when you have your own business, you have to be mature, you have to be disciplined, and you have to know what I'm saying, what to do. And a lot of times we don't know what we're doing, So responsibility is like a big portion of having your own business. And I want everybody to understand that. That goes into management. Management is like key, you know what I'm saying? If you cannot manage what you have, you will lose it, So management is just as important as to having your own business. The next and most important thing is vision. Like if you don't have a vision for what it is that you receive, what's the purpose? Let's say you do inherit your mother's house or whoever passed it on to you, but you don't clean it up, the grass is not being cut. When it rains and you get mold, you're not taking care of it. You got termites, you're not taking care of it. So if you don't have those responsibility, just integrity, if you don't have that character to answer the call of being a business owner, what I'm saying, it's not cut out for you. Now, there is, a way to reach higher heights, and that's simply being a good manager. If you're a good manager, that's what's in demand right now. The reason why I'm able to own my business and I'm in the United States and I'm running a business from Africa is because I have good managers there who are taking care of the daily needs of what we need to be successful. You know what I'm saying? They're staying on top of customer service. The customer hits them up, hey, we need this. They're on top of it. They're like on their game. And that's the only reason why I'm able to do this globally, is because I have really good people who I can count on, who are there, and they're like, what I'm saying? Like their heart is in doing the job. And so I say that to say, even though we may not be owners, if we go to a space and we act like we own it, we can eventually own it, or that can pivot, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a scripture that says, to much is given, to much is required. And those who manage what they have, they'll have even much more. So with that being said, if we as individuals coming from nothing, you born just like me in Leimert Park, your mom is working at Walmart, my mom worked at Walmart, there's nothing wrong with that. but we was in an apartment all my life. I don't have a house to fall back on. You know what I'm saying? After she passed away, it's whatever I get. But I still have the power of being a great manager, right? And that has got me to where I'm at today. Like me cultivating that character, integrity, working hard, you know what I'm saying? And then building the skill sets, learning technology, learning design, and applying myself is the reason why I own Haven Made Global. And it's a global company. You know what I'm saying? I came from Dorsey and I'm running a global company. I never would have imagined that. You know what I'm saying? But because I apply myself, and look, the last thing I want to say is God. God is the key. Like you have to align yourself with God. You have to get in your word and figure out what it is that, you know what I'm saying, God wants, because it's his will before anything else. And once I learned that, and once I submitted to his will, everything else just fell in line. So that's all I got to say.
That's rich, Roman. That's really rich. I needed that too. I feel like we in church a little bit. But Generation Z and Y is running it this time. Moving on, I wanted to put myself in the position of the students. So we go to high school for like 4 years, right? What am I going here for, and what's at the end of it, right? I graduate, and then what? Do I get a job? Do I got to go to college? My question for you all is college the only pathway to success?
I guess I'll go first. So no, college is not the only pathway to success. However, I believe, especially as young Black Americans or just Black people, it definitely helps to propel you. And I always didn't have a clear mind of going to college. I always knew I would go to college. I figured it would have been for basketball, but jail is what really got me on the road to college, because once I saw that I could get locked up for something I didn't do, I was like, hold on, time out, rewind, like hold on. And so once I was fortunate enough to overcome my situation and come home, I immediately checked into community college. And a lot of you may take that route. You may not go to a 4-year university directly out of high school. Don't feel bad. It's nothing to be discouraged about. We have community colleges. We have some of the best community colleges in the nation here in Los Angeles County. And so I went the community college route. I went for 3 years, barely earned 2 years college credit, and I applied to Morehouse. You feel me? Jailhouse to Morehouse. And I was there for like 5-6 years as a transfer student, but I graduated, so who cares? And that's the marathon, you know, Nipsey. And so it's like, you don't have to go to college, but in my instance, it helped me. And it's ironic because when I was young and looking up to, you know, like the older active homies or whatever you want to call them, I hate to say it, but a lot of them are in the pen now and they telling me they look up to me. And I'm like, damn, like it's powerful, you know? So like college is definitely a route. It don't matter if you can afford it, or you think you can't afford it. I couldn't afford it. I honestly didn't even have a GPA for it, but I made it possible. And so just with that alone, it's like, set your mind on college, preferably a Black college, and just go and don't just start it, finish it, you know? And I know people who they graduate and they switch fields. That's okay too. College is just a testament that you can finish something to be determined to go all the way through. And you meet so many people. Like I have so many lifelong friends from college, and you never know who's going to grow up and graduate to be who or what. So college is the way, man.
I would just hop in and say, excuse the bell. College, you don't have to go to college to be successful. But again, I would just piggyback off of Alton that it's definitely life-changing if you do. Being from South Central Los Angeles, I didn't see a lot of that as a first college graduate student. Like I didn't know what it meant to be successful, but it was a teacher, Mr. Sims at Dorsey High School, is like, even if you don't know what you want to do, we still gonna do this application and you're still gonna go. And even when I went on to Cal State LA, I was there for 4 years. I still didn't know what I wanted to do. But the beauty in that is you get to figure it out. It's trial and error. And you have the opportunity to do so. And so I end up graduated and I'm like, I still don't know what to do. I still didn't have that sense of self and knowledge. And I went to the historical Black college, and how Alton mentioned connection. We went together. In 2014, he was accepted to Morehouse and I was accepted to Clark Atlanta. And he was a part of the reason I finished my thesis. Like, we were in the library and I'm asking him different questions. And so there's power in community and there's power in that. And I was able to travel to South Africa and to Ghana all through college and go. And when Mike Brown was murdered, we were able to travel to, where that took place in protest. So there's so many things that happen in college that you can get the opportunity to be a part of. So I became an activist in college, through college. I was able to find who I was as a Black woman in college. I was able to just build so many connections. And then coming back home, all of the people that I met, constant connections. And so if it wasn't for college and that opportunity, I don't know where I would be. Because for me, it was just like, I want to be a mom. Like, I want to have babies. I want to be a mom. And that's beautiful. But look how much richness I done gained with going to college. And like Alton said, a historical Black college is always preferred because it's just a different environment. And that's just my opinion, and you don't have to take it, but it's just something different that you get by being surrounded by people who look like you. So shout out to Alton. Like, I really do. Thank you for that experience, because I really don't know how much far I would be if I didn't have somebody to lean on while I was in Atlanta.
Thank you, because I didn't have no family out there, and you was my family when we went together. I just want to say this real quick. I know other people may want to say something, but I'm from LA, South Central, just like many of you. And when I was in college, I was like, I'm studying abroad. That's where you travel out the country for purpose of, academics. And I was like, where I'm from, it's dangerous going down the street, 2 miles away, 1 mile radius block. I'm like, I'm going out the country. I went to Liberia and Africa, Brazil, Cuba, and Amsterdam in Europe. So if y'all want to travel the world, you ain't been yet, go to college.
I did the same thing too, piggybacking off that. I went to Italy, Florence, Italy. And from there, it's like I always knew I wanted to be a writer, but when I went to Florence, it just solidified it for me because, well, Florence is a place where there's so many great writers that come from there. And like I found it's not that I found my passion, but it was confirmed. I'm like, I for sure want to be a writer. I want to try it. And it was in that trip where I was just like, I really, really, really want to try to write a book. And when I came home, I did it, I finished it, I published it. And I don't know if I would have done that if I didn't get that experience from Florence. So to answer everybody, to really piggyback, like, it's the same thing everybody says. There's no magic like formula for success. So if you go to college, if you don't go to college, it's not really going to dictate how well you do and succeed. Like, that comes from self. If you have the determination, the grit, the will to keep going, to fail and try again, like, you will be successful. So for me, college gave me relationships that will last the rest of my life. It gave me experiences. It gave me abundance. But I know very successful people that are doing just as well as me that didn't go to college. So there's no magic answer, but just follow what you think you're supposed to do.
I love that, y'all. Before we move on to the next question, I just wanted to add my own personal tidbit to this question. So I sound kind of anti or rebellious, and I went to college. It took me 6 years to finish in total. I took a semester off, attended community college. Like I said, it took me a while to finish. I flunked a semester. I ditched class sometimes. I hated sometimes going to class. I felt like, to be honest, that the school curriculum was not keeping up with the pace of my fast life outside of college. A lot of people were dying. We got evicted from our homes. A lot of stuff that I had no control over at 19, 18. My grandmother passed away, who was my primary care provider. I suffered from depression, all types of stuff. I was in a new city. I was homeless, sleeping in my car a few times. Staying in strangers' houses in Houston, Texas, where I transferred to schools for an HBCU, and I was so determined to finish. I received over 13 academic scholarships while in school. I went to Israel as well, went abroad. You know, I did all these amazing things just to come at 25 years old. I was like, damn. I felt like so much of my identity was like seen as like a failure or loser because of how I was viewing myself within the system of college, not finishing on time, not getting good grades. But when I really thought about like, damn, Kamerie, you've done a lot of stuff, whether you had went to college or not. I just think that if I had the right people around me to encourage that entrepreneurship, that business ownership, then maybe I would have been right where I am 6 years ago, you know, because I've always wanted to do my own thing, but everybody around me told you, just listen, just follow the rules. Why do you want to be different? And now I'm learning that it's okay to be different. I started my own Pave Your Own Lane program because I wanted to teach people what I had to go through college 6 years to learn. We shouldn't have to wait to go to college to learn about ourselves. That's the sad part. I think what makes college such a safe choice for Black students especially is because our communities aren't safe. Our communities are underfunded. You know, why do we have to go to college to leave the country? You know, so I just think that's my story. That's my opinion. College was beautiful. I gained a lot of connections and community from college, but if you know you want to make money or be a millionaire at 18 years old, you know you want to make bread, you want to have properties all over the world, then do that. You don't got to go through college for that. It doesn't take you 4 years to make money if that's really what you want to do. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Moving on to the next question. Go to college.
No,
Go to college. You're crazy. Okay, y'all. I wanted to move on to Black History since it is Black History Month. They only gave us a month, but Black History Month is every day. What did y'all recently learn as an adult that surprised you when it came to Black history? Was it like a key figure? I know Rashida mentioned Marcus Garvey. There's so many other amazing people. What did y'all recently learn as an adult that surprised y'all when it came to your history? Deandra?
You put it down. Okay.
Go ahead, DeAndre.
For me, I did an ancestry test because I'm originally from Jamaica. So I had a strong Jamaican history, but going abroad, I met a lot of Tanzanian and just the connection that they had to their culture and how they viewed themselves and the sort of strength they had in their identity. That's what was, it made me feel more connected to myself. So that's one thing that I learned.
I think I had like heard about this like sparingly when I was in high school, but the Black Wall Street Massacre was something I wish I had just learned so much more as a young girl, because there were so many like successful Black entrepreneurs in Tulsa, and they basically got massacred and bombed because of how successful they were as Black people, and they wanted to stop them basically. So I think that's probably mine. I was thinking.
Anything?
What I learned as an adult is that our curriculum, like within the LAUSD curriculum, because that's what I was brought up in, is that we play it safe with the historical figures that they want us to know about, like the people who like contributed so much to Black history, but that were good enough to show face, if that makes sense, right? But as an adult, it's like, why y'all wasn't telling us about Nat Turner and his rebellion? Like, why weren't you all telling us about the people who like were selfless and willing to sacrifice their life for our liberation? And so as an adult, I'm seeking, and I'm still seeking and learning about those people. And one of my students and my nieces to nephews to know, like, we have contributed so much to Black history that it's really beyond the same people that we talk about. And so I always shout out Coach Dave with him bringing like Black culture in history in the way that he does it, because there is so much so much to learn in the inventions and the music. And again, outside of entertainment and sports, but like we really shift the culture in so many ways. And it's again beyond this month. Like we can really have a whole year dedicated because it's so much of a contribution that we have provided in the US and outside of the US. And so as an adult, that's something that I'm still learning. Like how can we take the veil off and teach more about Black historical people?
All right, so for me, this is crazy. This is crazy. I didn't learn this until maybe like 2 months ago. So as I said before, I started Romans International Project, and the purpose was to consult with like small businesses within my community as well as Africa to give them like the tools, the resources, and the knowledge and the know-how to take their stuff to the next level, right? So here I am on a journey now of trying to master logistics, which is the process of getting something from A to Z. And so I traveled to Tamale and Botenga, where they grow shea nuts and they produce shea butter, right? So I'm like, all right, there's a market for shea butter. This farm is only selling to the locals. They could be selling to the US and making 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times as much as what they're making. How can I get this shea butter from this farm to the US? So I'm learning about ports. I'm learning about shipping containers. I'm learning about boats. I'm learning about airplanes, like just how different methods that they use to get this stuff done. And then I come across this guy, Marcus Garvey. I always heard of him, but I never really knew, you know what I'm saying, what he did. Do y'all know Marcus Garvey was a boss at shipping stuff? Like he had his own logistics company. And it's like, this is way back in 1900. Like this is when stuff was black and white and bro was bossing like that. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. It was like, yo, this guy already did what I'm trying to do. I'm thinking I'm the first one that's doing it because I'm not seeing nobody in my community from Leimert Park from Los Angeles that's like, oh yeah, I'm in shipping and I'm doing logistics and I'm getting stuff from A to Z. So it's like, I'm thinking I'm the only one. And then find out, yo, this guy's an old head and already bossed it. Like, it's crazy. So Marcus Garvey is a boss. Like his story is powerful. And then even how he influenced the Black culture and just what he believed in and what he stand for. Man, if somebody would told me about him like way long ago, I probably would believe in myself much more. So Marcus Garvey, that's the man.
I like another Black thinker who I want to mention. So I majored in sociology at Morehouse, and when you grow up, you only hear about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Little about Malcolm X, but anyway, I majored in sociology, and one of the people we had to study was W.B. Du Bois, and he was one of the founding members of the NAACP. He was a writer, he was an educator at Morehouse in Clark, Atlanta, in the AUC at that time. And he was just a big educator and a thinker on the plight of America at the time. His views also were contrary to Booker T. Washington. I'm not sure if y'all familiar with him, but it's like when I got to college, I had a lot of life experiences that other students didn't have. So when I would be in class, I would be learning terms to stuff I already knew. I'm like, oh, that's what that's called, like, you know? And so, but just about W.B. Du Bois, one of like a phrase or term he coined was double consciousness. And so that was basically remaining true to the Black culture as a Black person, but while, you know, you're confronted with assimilating into the white culture at the same time. So as I'm older, it's like we face this all the time. It's like if you grow up and you sound educated, because most of us sound uneducated just because we speak with slang, oh, you sound white. It's like, no, they don't sound white. They just sound like English is supposed to sound, per se, you know? Or it's like just us being Black, but we want to be business. It's like when I I've traveled the country being on panels, and I would be on panels with these older white dudes and executives in their field, and they would be looking at me like, what are you doing here? Like, what's your credibility here? You know, but it's like, I'm essentially assimilating into this culture, which it shouldn't just be a white culture thing, you know? But so just the point of what I'm saying is, as you grow up, no matter your race or color, but especially if you're Black, it's like we struggle with remaining true to being Black, to the Black culture, but while not being seen as, oh, you trying to be like a white person, or you too bougie, you too, you know. So just keep that in mind, that people gonna talk regardless. Just do you and be you, who you truly are, no matter what.
I love that. I love that, man. Okay, so moving on towards the end, y'all. Time is moving fast. What's something that a 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old student, what's something they should be paying attention to right now at this point? With the wisdom that everybody else has on this call, what should that student be focusing on right now?
All right, so this one is probably the most difficult concept to grasp, but it will make you the best. And that's your character. That's not taking a paper clip that don't belong to you. That's this is the Bible describes this as fire, where God will put you into fire and purify you, right? What is that? That's developing your character. That means He's shedding stuff off of you that don't belong there, that you picked up, or that you know what I'm saying, because of your environment, you got these thought patterns. Like, He would shed that stuff off you, right? All that stuff is to refine the person that's on the inside of you, and that's your character. That's doing the right thing when nobody's looking. That's telling the truth, which is hard to do. It's hard to stay truthful. It's hard to tell your truth. It's hard to tell on yourself. You know what I'm saying? There was a situation where I'm at this, I was working for this retail store, and we produce sweaters, right? And I was in there in the middle of the night, 12 a.m., 4 a.m., and it was cold. So I put one of the sweaters on, and I forgot I had it on. I went home. I'm like, dang, I forgot I had this sweater on yesterday. I went back to the office the next day, and I'm like, yo, yesterday I was wearing a sweater. I forgot I had it on. I just wanted to tell myself, because I didn't, you know what I'm saying? So stuff like that is really important, and it will take you to the next level, because at the end of the day, what I learned is success is not just about what you do, but it's who you know. And it's about the favor that you have with those people that you know what I'm saying? And it's only favor that God can give you that will get you to that level that you're at. Like my business partner, God gave me favor with him, and now we're doing the most, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're internationally making impact on the world. And that, I believe, wouldn't have happened had I not went through the fire of purifying my character. And I'm gonna tell you how I did it. I went through Matthew's in the Bible. Jesus talks about purifying your character, pretty much, you know what I'm saying, being a man of integrity. Y'all might have like different opinions about the Bible and church, but I'm not talking about church. I'm talking about the Bible and what Jesus was preaching. I'm talking about the message. He was trying to change our mindsets. He was trying to change our hearts. So I went through Matthew's and just practiced everything that I read. Serving as if you're serving God. So I was working at a restaurant, and instead of me thinking, oh, I'm, working for my boss, I'm like, yo, I'm working for God. So when I'm off this floor, I know God is looking. And I know that when I pass that little stain on the floor, God is looking at that. You know what I'm saying? All right, God, I know you're watching. I'm doing this for you. I ain't doing this for no check. I'm here to serve the Lord. And that's what, you know what I'm saying, gave me that motive to just really do the right thing all the time. And I believe God promoted me for that. And so I went from working at a restaurant making $11 an hour to traveling the globe. So that's what I want to leave y'all with. And I hope that I at least spoke to one person that's in this school of 400 people, like just one person. All I need you to understand is your character is the most important thing that you got. And if you refine that, you'll go so much further than where you at. You won't even believe it. That's it.
I would say whatever you're doing, if you're feeling scared about it, do it anyways, because a lot of the rooms that you want to go into, you're gonna be the only one of color. You're gonna be the only Black person there. And there was an interesting study that I read that said when there's students who are taking like a math exam and they learn that that Black people statistically do worse on those exams than they do by being primed to that information, they tend to do worse. So when you're going into these rooms, have that confidence, and even if you're scared, do it anyways. Use your race and the position that you have as a superpower to go in and say, hey, I might be the only Black person here, but I'm coming from this. I've worked so hard to be here and I deserve to be here because no one else has worked as hard as you. So just do whatever you're doing, scared, and go for it.
Okay, two things real quick that come out the top of my head. One is politics. Bobby Seale, co-founder of the Black Panther, said, with no political seats, you have no political power. And even if you don't want to go into politics as a lawmaker, just knowing the law. They say ignorance of the law is no excuse. You don't have to be a lawyer to know the law. And I say that because as you get older, you need to know what's going on in the world and in politics, because a lot of these laws affect your everyday life, whether you know it or not. And so whether you feel you can change it or not is not, the main thing. Obviously try to change it, but before that is knowing it. You can't change something if you don't know it. And through a lot of my advocacy, we were able to help change laws by speaking directly with policymakers through sharing our story. And when you see a law change and you've been in City Hall or the state capitol, and it's like writing a movie and seeing it, writing a script and seeing it on a big screen. So it's real, like even I know a lot of us feel like voting don't matter. Our votes didn't matter. They wouldn't be trying to suppress our votes. But second, I say money. Find ways to legally obtain money by way of a career. And I say that because I'm fortunate to have a mentor who I met when I was in juvenile hall, and I maintain that relationship. Oh, that's another thing, maintain relationships. Meet people, network, and maintain relationships. But I had a dinner with them and with my Jewish mentor and their family. And you know what they talked about at this dinner? Yeah, it was some teenagers and some youth around my age. We all want to be on our phone and stuff. The dad, like everybody off their phone, we talking about what job are you getting when you turn 18? What are you gonna do to make money? And so these are important things, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur. One month you may make 5,000, the next month you may make $5, So it's just like, those are two things that come to the top of my head. Politics and money. Give money, but legally,
Absolutely, y'all. Okay, so we're coming to the end of our presentation. The last thing I wanted to say with advice to younger people is, in high school, I would have taken things a lot more seriously. I would have taken the initiative to learn how the world really works, to learn how money works a lot earlier. I would tell people, if you don't do anything, focus on money and learn how to get money too. I don't care what nobody say. Money is how you live a happy life, a comfortable life. Everything in this world costs money. You don't want to work a job that you don't love and you're miserable, but now you're a certain age and now you can't, just retire when you want to. So I would say, think about that right now and kind of work backwards. Okay, what age do I want to retire? What type of life do I want to live? Can I have $1 million when I retire? So I wanted to think real estate, cash value, life insurance policies, okay? I wanted to think about crypto, AI, all these things that's going to change the world we live in. You have to learn about it. And why not learn about it now than later when you are already expected to go out into the real world and figure it out? Because nobody really cares outside of the people who really do care about you. So do something about it. Take ownership over your life. It's nobody's fault. If you don't like your family dynamic right now, you don't like that you live in a hood, you don't like that you got to catch the bus to school, you don't like the clothes you wear, so what? boss up and get on it. Make it happen for yourself. Go make some money. And like Alton mentioned earlier, legal ways, use your brain, use your mind. Don't be lazy. It's actually smarter now to make money on the internet as opposed to having to sell drugs or break into somebody's home or whatnot, or, there are ways to make money. So that's some advice I would give to young people. 60K. Okay. In high school, Roman? Okay. But I'm going to open the chat up to any classrooms or teachers who have any students who want to ask the panel any questions or share anything. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Can they talk?
Does anybody have any students
Hey y'all.
that would like to add?
Hey, I'm Charisma. So I was really listening to what y'all was saying, and y'all really are doing what my plan is. Like, y'all actually did what I was planning. So right now I'm in the 11th grade, and right now I'm currently writing a book. It's an autobiography along just personal advice, like aspects and small poems. So I'm doing that, and I'm planning to have that done by my senior year. And then I'm also planning to work because I want to save 30% of my check in order to start my clothing line, because that's also something I want to do. And I also heard that somebody mentioned that they are doing that. So that, there's already people that are already doing stuff that I wanted to do. So I also want to do, basically after my senior year, I also did want to do foreign exchange student, but I was scared because mainly I'm a woman and I'm Black, and I wasn't really sure how that experience would play out for me, because a lot of people I know that they do those kind of things, but they're usually of like Black reflection or, and it's very different outside of America, and my family, they'll tell me like, be careful because you don't really know, and then you don't have nobody out there. It's really just you. So it kind of plays fear in my heart, but it's still something that I really do want to do. So it's just good to hear that it's people like you guys that actually did do it, and that you guys are actually taking the time to actually talk to us. I want to, even if it seemed like nobody's listening, y'all, I was listening, I was paying attention to y'all, and I'm so glad that I was able to hear you guys, because I'm expanding my networking, which is something I also did. And hopefully, I wish y'all would have came. One-on-one. I'm glad that we're able to do it the way that we're doing. And yeah, I just want to say I appreciate you. Also, for the people that have
Hey, Luis.
Oh, y'all on campus? Oh, y'all.
Thank you all so much. We'll be in Coach Davis's classroom during lunch.
Yeah, okay.
Come through. We'll be-
Thank you. That was amazing. See y'all.
The magnet building. 8180.
Huh?
I know it. Thank you, everybody. who showed up.
So pretty.
No, it's all good.
It's all good. Yeah. Once that bell ring, they gone. I know I'm gone. Once I hear, I don't care what we doing in class. I'm gone. For sure.
But we got, but look, we didn't cut nobody off. Everybody said.
It was good.
Q&A. Okay, perfect. Cool. All right, Coach.
It just wasn't like.
Mutual.
Coach Dave, are you ready for me to end the Zoom?
Yes, one second, sister. Okay, so for everybody who's on the call, we appreciate your engaging with us. The panelists here are Dorsey students, just like you, that's very dear to my heart. So just like they're giving back, we have very, very high expectations for you and high ambitions for you, and we want you to set some goals for yourself. Absolutely. So come by and tap in with us. We'll be here at lunch right now, and you can meet the panelists, and hopefully you'll hear something motivating and uplifting for your future. So we want to thank everybody for joining the call. Okay, God bless you, and go Dons and Donnas forever.